Hello and welcome back, everybody. It's Draskyl here with another video. We are in patch 7.30b, I believe, is the recording of this video. And what we want to do is cover a very loose guide for 4 position supports and your goals in the early game. What you can do to have the most impact in your lane, how to read your lane, what you need to accomplish, and more or less just how to play the first 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and hop right in. We are going to be watching the perspective of a 4-position Pangolier. If you guys are not up to date on the patch notes, Pangolier got, I would say, buff from the support perspective. He had his slow from Lucky Shot moved to Shield Crash. So now Shield Crash will slow for 25 to 40% upon level 4. And you can use this ability while in lane. And they also rescaled the damage reduction and the cooldown. So the damage reduction earlier is better, and the ability is 1 second less cooldown at later level, and also less cooldown earlier on top of that. So now you're caught up on why this hero is being played as a 4. It's pretty powerful in my opinion. We're gonna try to stay a bit away from too much of specific like hero stuff. We want this to be more of kind of like a general thing. So we're just gonna go and hit play, and you'll notice that a lot of these high level games, this is a 9.8k MMR average game, which is like one of the highest I've ever seen. Usually when I'm looking for replays, I go to Dota 2 Pro Tracker, and I just look for somebody playing a hero I want to see, and then, you know, you check the average MMR, and then you get the replay, and this one was 9.8, which is super, super high. So the beginning of the game, the mag is going to get caught out here, gets a couple of napalm stacks, get the shield crash slow, see if he actually gets away. I did skim this for the first 10 minutes. I know who wins just because I had to download the replay, but we're not going to go through the entire game, so that doesn't really much matter. What we're focused on here is what the Pango does and why. So every time he makes a move, we're going to pause and we're going to talk about it a little bit, and why he's doing the thing that he's doing and why it makes sense. So far, he's placed a ward on the bottom spire, and that spire is just to scout if the heroes are coming in force, and more or less to see what the lane matchup is going to be. So this game, it's a safe lane OD. So there was either some lane swapping or some, I guess, experimental stuff going on within the game. Like I said, I didn't see the draft. I just downloaded the replay and kind of went with it. So the ward that he puts on the spire does a couple of things. If people smoke for level 1 fights, you're going to be able to see them pop out a little bit earlier if you're standing on the hill. You're going to get to see what support's going to be in your lane, and you're going to have a much better idea of how to play. So the first decision that is made is right now where he's walking to the left. Now he's going to walk left and he's going to pull the wave. When you pull the wave, you are basically saying, our lane is weaker than yours, and we want to put it far away from your tower. Okay? So there's a couple of things to keep in mind for the specific hero matchups that we have. Pango is still pretty weak at level 1, even with the changes. He can absorb a lot of damage, and he does offer a new slow, but his kill potential is completely reliant on the other hero in his lane. Now, he is laning with a Veno, and Veno has Gale. However, they are very, very close to the tower, and right now, this mag has Skewer. So what could very easily happen is they overcommit, one of them gets skewered under the tower, that results in either the Veno or the Pango potentially dying. Kind of scary. So when he goes to pull, he's saying our lane is kind of weak. We want to get the wave away from your tower. And since we can't directly contest super well on the wave, by pulling it further back, we're going to give ourselves a chance to play a little bit more aggressive. You know, once we get levels, we can start doing stuff. So this is the type of thing that you would do if you have enough matchup knowledge to understand, okay, at level 1, maybe we're weak. Maybe level 2 even, we're weak. Because there are some lanes where you're going to go there, and your level 1, 2, maybe even 3 is going to be kind of bad. Or maybe you just never are stronger than your opponent. That can also happen. But here, there is definitely going to be points where their lane will be very strong and have a lot of kill potential because they have 2 slows and a lot of damage once they get EXP. So that's the critical point. They want a lot of experience, and the best way to do that is to get the lane in a better position, get as many denies as you can, you know, block pulls, all that sort of stuff. So we're going to watch him. He's going to grab the wave. Now the mag probably knows this is happening already, so he's going to walk over here as well to try to be annoying, get some damage on the Pango, try to stop him from blocking the camp, which is why he's skewered there. Skewer was a tiny bit early, so the camp still gets blocked. And this is a nice counterplay attempt from the mag as well. He grabs the camp, and he pulls it into the wave so it doesn't like go all the way back under the tower. So what you can do in these situations, it felt like he almost wanted Saneko to grab this camp, by the way, because he kind of stopped in the river. But if the guy doesn't do this, the mag in this case, you can pull it to the right and keep it in front of your tower, and then when your next wave comes, you just sit there, and you're trying to keep the wave basically in that spot. And by having the wave there, if we go to free cam and we just look, if your wave is in this area and you have a double slow lane, there is a very good chance that you can kill. So they have Gale, and then they have this. So you have a 25% slow on top of a 50% slow. And this OD, if he's too far up and he doesn't get like a good defensive skewer, he'll just die, right? So he's looking at his hero kit and he's going, okay, 2 slows, only 1 hero with an escape. We get the wave way over here. If they get out of position, you know, we bap them. And that's good. That's the kind of mentality you should have as the 4. Like, where do we want our lane to be? If you have a lot of stuns, it can be even better to have your lane up here. But for slows specifically, you want a lot of room to chase. So when you have this kind of situation where, you know, maybe your wave didn't connect, or when you pulled, the wave that you were pulling didn't connect with yours, it's actually just going to go straight back down. So the lane's more or less going to reset, which is good for Radiant, not as good for Dire. So let's go ahead and go back here, player perspective. He's going to get a nice little shield crash there to secure the range creep. A lot of 4 players are always going to use their mana to secure a range creep if they feel like their 3 player cannot get it. Range creeps are still a lot of gold and a lot of EXP out of the wave. So if you're not using your mana on anything else, if you're not using it to harass or go for kills, then using your mana to get that creep is really, really nice. And Pango is super non-committal with this, by the way, because when you shield crash, if you happen to get the creep and you hit a hero, or you even hit 2 heroes, you suddenly have 30% damage reduction, and since those heroes will also be slowed, they can't easily go back on you and deal damage. Alright, so we got our level 2 timing. You'll notice again, he used his mana there for a range creep, because the Veno was banished. He didn't get it that time, the OD got the deny, but the attempt was there, and that's kind of what you're always looking for. So a lot of examples of heroes that do this are like Rubik, Pango. You can have a Lina support. There are a very, very large amount of heroes that played as a 4 can throw a nuke onto a ranged CS to secure it. And you should be in the habit of doing this because each one matters. If you get 5 range creeps denied, you're probably going to be, you know, more than a wave of EXP behind because they're worth so much. So they get a nice little double slow here, just dealing a lot of harass. I want to go back here a little bit and point something out as well. Got to go back a little bit farther. So right here, what just happened is the mag missed skewer. So in high-level games, when someone wastes an ability, the enemy team is going to try their best to utilize it at the earliest possible juncture. This is something that happens, again, 9.8k average game, very high individual skill levels. So this mag just misses skewer. That is the only way that they can save from double slow, which we talked about a little bit earlier. This guy is going to go in, and he's going to slow the OD because OD doesn't inherently have any way of getting out either. And I think they also hit the mag with the Gale, but we'll see in a second. Getting harass when you know that the enemy team have just wasted a skill, and also we'll note that they have 2 range creeps compared to the 1 of Radiant. This kind of stuff also matters. Any extra creep damage adds up over time. If you're a hero that has a stun or a slow or any sort of CC effect, and you have a huge creep wave and the enemy team's trying to play into you, you want to punish them for that kind of thing. So this is kind of a culmination of 2 or 3 things happening. Their wave is bigger, the mag wasted his skewer, they have double slow, and no save is available. Like, banishing yourself is not going to do a whole heck of a lot here. So we're going to hit play, we're going to watch it again. The OD is going to walk up to banish to try to get a deny. And they're just going to get a ton of damage dealt to them here. Now, this is the type of philosophy that you can apply to any lane. You're going in, you're dealing damage to them when they've wasted their abilities, but you don't necessarily have to go for a kill. It's completely fine, and in a lot of cases, it might even be better for you to just get out the damage so that the enemy lane doesn't feel like they can play as aggressively. So they're going to go for a nice little skewer combo here. Both heroes get hit. He uses his shield crash defensively, applies the snare to both heroes so the Venno can walk away. Now they were quite ready for that, and if they didn't have a wave getting hit by the tower, there's a good chance that one of them would have died there. And so far, it's not like we haven't had to play super out of our minds or anything like that to just accomplish the basic stuff for the lane. We're saving a little bit of mana because we only have enough for one spell, and if we used our mana to go for a range CS there, we would not have also had mana to get out, which can be a little bit dangerous. Going for a stack, the mag's going to block it, which is fine. And the bottom rune is going to spawn, but it looks like the LC got it first, so neither support really has much of a reason to leave the lane. Now, there's something else here to mention, too. It's 4 minutes. There are situations where your 3-player, as we're talking exclusively from this perspective for this game, he is not going to need your help. Some games, you're going to look at your 3, and it's going to be some really strong hero, and you're going to have a nice first 4 minutes. You're going to kill them. This guy's going to be... he's jacked, right? Even in a 2v1, he might be fine. In other lanes, if you leave your 3-player, he will almost certainly die or be unable to occupy the lane in any meaningful way. If we think about the skill set of the mag OD lane, Banish into Skewer is almost a guaranteed kill on a hero like Venno if he's not at full HP, right? Let's just say he could TP out if he lives through the initial damage, or if he gets harassed enough and they save a skill to stop his TP, he will probably also die, because Venno is inherently very slow. So when you're thinking about, hey, leaving this 280 movement speed, no boot hero to go look for a rune, you're kind of hurting his game a lot, right? And as one of the things that you want to accomplish as a 4 or a 5, this is true for both roles in the early game, giving that core hero that you're laning with the best possible time that you can is your primary objective. So when you don't do that by going to a rune, and let's say, for example, you go to the rune and you didn't see the guy, and then he gets it anyway, you know, you kind of just start this series of events where your core player is going to kind of suffer for a move that might not have even been optimal in the first place. So he doesn't go for the rune. Granted, the LC would have picked it up anyway. But it's the idea that you need to be aware of what your core is dealing with when you leave, and if it's okay to leave him, you should communicate, hey, I'm going to do this, right? So he knows, and then you can go do whatever it is you want to do. Alright, so we're going to go back to the Pango perspective here. Still just sitting on an Orb of Venom. We got some extra regen being ferried out. Mag's going to get a pull off. This doesn't necessarily hurt us that bad. The Banish won't do much here because the Mag is obviously not near. But you'll notice they use this pull also. So the pull happens. The wave is pushing into the tower. They have very high kill potential at level 3. So we check the Venno's skill build. This is level 2 Gale. 45 damage a tick. It goes from 15 to 45. Very, very huge boost in damage effectiveness for 1 point. So when I was talking earlier about level timings and when you become powerful, it's really good to take note of what skills the person in your lane is getting and when they're going to have them, right? Because Venno's level 2 Gale is one of the most efficient points in the game for damage output. So when you get this, you go from being maybe kind of strong with 1 sting, 1 Gale to super strong. And if they don't TP away from you, they just die. So when he pulls, they recognize, hey, we have a full creep wave walking into the tier 1. We don't want to let this guy get the CS. We're going to walk at him Because if we land our spells correctly and we play the tower aggro correctly, then we can maybe even get a kill. But you notice the Pango is not like doing anything crazy. He's not clicking on him. He's just making the core feel uncomfortable. This is also a tactic that you can employ. It doesn't necessarily have to always be kills, although this might be a kill. He's going to back off a bit. Not quite enough damage. But they're poking, and they're getting them low, and they're making them not able to lane as freely as they would like. And in addition, they also have a Bloodseekers, so they can see everything that's happening here. Nice little kill on the mag. He's actually going to grab the entire wave here, so this is... We'll see what happens. Let's let the play conclude, and then I'll say the piece. Okay, so if the OD had not contested that wave, then the cart would have been free to hit the tier 1, which is actually very good. But it looks like that wasn't the case. So the idea was there, but since the OD was dragging the wave, they wouldn't have been able to get much out of it. Okay, so at 6 minutes, we're going to pause. We're going to just, you know, gloss over the stuff that's happened so far. Obviously, we're covering a lot here, but this is a guide. So if you miss something or whatever, you're more than welcome to just go back and, you know, watch it again. But we pay attention to the waves. We secure the range creep for our core. We wait for our timing. We don't overcommit. We can be happy with harass. We're taking very efficient trades also because we're Veno Pango. So if they're hitting the Pango, they're hitting into damage reduction, and the Veno has great dot damage, especially at this point. We forced a lot of regen out of them, which is also great because that's economic damage. We haven't given away any kills. We got the first wave pull, which allowed us to get our level 2 relatively quick with nothing really bad happening, like getting skewered under the tower. It did happen once, but we didn't die. And so far, everything's kind of been smooth sailing. So these philosophies of like the 4 hero, you know, securing the lane for your core, don't leave him if he needs you there. You're basically playing for the Veno from the Pango's perspective. And thus far, I think that there's not really a whole lot extra that this Pango could have done in the first at least 6 minutes of the game. We're going to keep going for a couple more minutes, but I don't want to make this video like super long. Needs to be in like digestible pieces. Yeah, baby. So he grabs another clarity. He's going to be here when the Veno gets banished. Nice little disarm. Pretty lucky that he disarmed the OD there. He's got his Fairy Fire, so he's baiting a little bit. I just want to point out how quickly, like look at how quickly the enemy team responded to this. He backs away from the creep wave. Let's go to free cam so we can get a better perspective. The Pango has been off the wave for less than 10 seconds. The Veno is going to walk up, and he's going to show. And the Pango already turns around. With this amount of HP, he turns around. He goes, my Veno is in trouble, right? Because what's going to happen? He's going to get banished, and he's going to get hit by a skewer and a shockwave, and he'll die. This guy, he understands fully the situation that his lane's in. So he turns around, he just goes, yep. Yeah, baby. I'm here now. If they go, it's fine. He waits to pop his stick until they use all their spells to get the maximum efficiency out of it. I thought there might have been a deny attempt here, but looks like the OD didn't quite want to do that. But it was just an immediate response. Like, he knew that the Veno didn't have a lot of HP, and he also, obviously he's a pro-level player, so he grasps the strength of his hero and like what trades he can do and what trades he can't do. Unfortunately, I can't teach you how to do that in this video. I can just explain the thought process behind all the stuff that's happening. So the next thing for any sort of support, 5 and 4, is you're going to want to communicate to your core hero when you're going to base so that they can drop items that they want. Everyone has their own courier currently in Dota, but since courier movement speed is tied to hero level, a lot of the time it's just more quick and efficient to just get whatever item that they want and bring it to them. Now, in this case, he didn't actually end up buying anything, so it's not going to happen here, but you should be in the habit of doing that, because sometimes one of your core heroes is going to want, like, boots, or they're going to want a stick, or, you know, maybe they buy a salve or whatever. You buy them a salve. You're going to have to bring stuff to them so that the lane feels better to play. Now he's going for Soul Ring here, also picks up a Raindrop. Very good for this lane. Lets him absorb a lot of damage. Notice how he's leading and using Shield Crash in a way that allows him to be taking the majority of the damage. He's going to get another Shield Crash here. That's going to TP in, help clean up, and they're just going to kill everybody. So let's watch this again from the start. First things first, he's playing Pango. Pango is very good at taking damage when you have this skill active. So he puts himself in harm's way on purpose, because not only is his hero inherently less value because he's a support, so if he does die, it's like whatever, right? The Venom is still going to be full HP. But he is making it less efficient for the enemy team's damage output to be hitting him because he's the only target they can hit. So he goes in. He gets the 2-man crash. He's got 34% damage reduction. He forces the OD self-banish after getting a disarm. And he is going to get dueled here. But he gets a first hit disarm on the LC as well, which... that might have saved his life, to be honest. It's very, very close. And then after the failed duel, everyone kind of just dies. Now, the individual playing is obviously great. But he's applying all the stuff that we're talking about actively while he's playing the game. Now, you might not play Pango, right? You might be, you know, an Earth Spirit player, or you might be a Forlina player, or whatever. There will be things that your hero can contribute to the lane that other heroes won't be able to. Pango, in this case, is specifically just utilizing his body, right? Some heroes are good at efficiency trading. So, like, Ogre Magi's, for example, Spirit Breakers, these heroes that are just thick, right? They got a lot of regen, a lot of armor, a lot of damage. You just go in and you hit stuff and you cause chaos for the enemy lane. You can do that kind of stuff as well. Pango's a bit different. And we'll cover a couple of different perspectives of types of heroes so you can get a better feel for what I'm talking about. He's going to do a nice little ward check here. He's going to ping it. So for those of you who don't know, the mid tower actually does not see over here in this area. Like, this is a dire observer ward. So this tower does not see in this little enclave, or whatever you want to call it, of trees. So when you walk here and the tower hits you and an enemy team does not see you, like a hero doesn't specifically see you, then you know that there's an observer ward here. It's a very simple trick. Lots of people do it. You can do it at the beginning of the game too, because it's nighttime, standing in certain areas. You can see it from like this side or whatever. And you can get dewarding done pretty easily that way. But it's just... at this point, the Veno is having a very good lane, right? The OD has transitioned away from bottom, so he doesn't really have much of a reason to be there anymore. No hero on Radiant, matchup-wise, is going to want to be in bottom lane against a Veno who has, you know, wards going down, the tower's almost dead, he's got this Urn of Shadows, you know, working his way towards Vessel. Nobody wants to be here from Radiant. So as soon as he makes the distinction that there is nobody on Radiant who's going to be down here, his first play, because he is level 6 outside of the lane, is to be sitting somewhere where potential fighting could happen. No one's going to come down here. I mean, if they do, they're killing a Veno with a tower that has 1 HP, right? This tower is just... It gets glyphed, but it's going to die anyway. This guy is showing on a creep wave. He just TP'd up here, so they probably also know that. And it's not really, like, super complicated, right? He just goes, okay, Veno's good. I've given him the lane. The safe laner who was here is no longer here. and we can see the other core who's mid. So now we're at a point where I'm no longer needed down here. And now I can make a play, potentially, with like Batrider, or, you know, maybe the Willow and I can go gank, or look for some stacks, or whatever, right? Now we're really only going to go for like another minute or so, because I wanted to keep this like an early game type of video. And when he starts to see heroes leave the map, notice how he's sitting in an area that's like between mid and top, right? So when you see stuff like this from high-level players, usually supports, it's because they want to be able to react quickly to two different things. It's like, I want to go mid or I want to go bottom, but I don't necessarily want to burn my TP, right? So by putting yourself equidistant of the mid and the bot lane, if someone does decide to go bottom, you could theoretically still get there before the guy's dead, you know, without having to use a TP. Because if he TP's bottom, he's still going to have to walk all the way down the lane because Venom's at the tier 1. If he TP's mid, he's going to have to go a little bit of distance. But as soon as he sees the OD show on the top lane, and this guy, I still don't think he has boots, by the way. Yeah, he's just got Meteor Hammer, and that's it. As soon as he sees this guy show, and his Bloodseeker is in the area, he's thinking, you know, potential kill. So this guy is the safe laner, very high value target. High level players always assess the value of a kill before they even try to go for it. This just happens subconsciously for them. They go, okay, this guy's good to kill, this guy's not good to kill. They've done it so many times and played the game so many times, they know well in advance what is the best bang for their buck in terms of fighting. So if you can't do that, that's okay. I'm just explaining, you know, OD is a safe laner, good value to kill. So the OD goes for a play. They actually use the Bloodseeker to bait the hammer combo here. And the OD is just going to die. So the TP results in a safe laner kill, which is obviously very good. The bottom tier 1 has been taken, and he still really isn't required to be there. Nice little lasso. And this little collapse on the rune is pretty common. You know, 10 minutes rolls around, and then you go in and you... The supports were basically all in the same spot because they TP top to kill the OD, and then they just decided to walk down, and lo and behold, they find a Legion Commander. So, we've gone through about 10 minutes of gameplay, and I'm sure this video is going to be at least 20 minutes, which is probably already long that I wanted it to be. However, I hope that you've learned a little bit here from watching this video as far as some basic concepts that you can apply to your lane, you know, pulling, contesting the range creep, deciding if you want to go for runes or not. There will certainly be cases where going for the rune is okay, and being able to decide on the fly if you want to do something like that. So again, we're going to be making a couple more videos like this, different types of heroes, different types of gameplay, going through the thought process of the players and all that other stuff. So thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. If you want to catch me live, you can do it at twitch.tv/Draskyl, same as the YouTube. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you soon.